Well, hi folks, out in the GS for a bit of a run. Well, we've got some decent weather, quite dry and bright today, but very windy. Winds upwards of 30 miles per hour today, so it's pretty blustery, but it's supposed to calm down later on in the day, so just popped out for another hour on the GS, clocking up the run-in mileage. Currently just sitting just over, I think, 300 miles, probably 6th or 7th the ride I think I've had on the bike. So far so good, no issues whatsoever so far. 364 miles under my belt. This is on about the third tank of fuel, I think. Must be the fourth tank of fuel, surely. Probably the third tank of fuel. Anyway, just popping out for a bit of a run around the back roads of Fife. Going to head up towards Tayport actually, and maybe stop for a quick cup of coffee. So come along with me for the ride. I've got the heated grips on today. Fingers are quite chilly with that wind. Good brakes on the GS. As you can see there, these silly little traffic calming measures that they've got polluted all over the place these days. Catch you out if you're not paying attention. So luckily we've got some good brakes under our backside here. Surprised with the amount of traffic. Sounds like there's probably some roadwork somewhere else, and a lot of people are having to take an alternative route, as this road's generally pretty quiet. This is the back road from Craigrothy up to St Andrews. I'm going to go via Strathkinnis before you come to St Andrews, and then I'm going to drop down through Leuchars and up to Tayport, stop at the Taybridge so you can get a cup of coffee. So what can I say, the GS, there's not a lot to talk about that hasn't already been spoken about out there on the wider net, the YouTube and Facebook, etc. From my experience so far, it's absolutely a terrific bike. Can't fault it. Can't fault the ownership part of it. It's the first BMW that I've actually owned, so any reports, reviews or videos or whatever you want to call them you get from me are purely from a first time owner of a BMW motorcycle. Have to say I do own a BMW car, and fantastic driving machines. Car does have its quirky problems with it as well, they all do, but I think from a driving experience, I previously owned an Audi. I previously had Audis for many years, and they were fabulous cars as well, but when you drive a BMW compared to an Audi, it just feels a more immersed driver. You feel more immersed in the driving of it. You're more connected to the car, the handling, the feedback you get for the car. That's my impression anyway. That's one of the reasons that spurred me to go on and actually change from, I say I'd owned Audis for the past 10 plus years, and decided that I would trade in and get a BMW after the test ride that I did in the car. But anyway, it's back on the bike. That's really not a lot to do with comparison wise. Bikes and cars, completely different entities altogether. But again, well, I actually, a little bit of history, I've basically been a motocrosser, off-roader, played on bikes all my days. I had a succession of sports bikes, went through the CBR 600 and the Fireblade areas, and back onto a more relaxed kind of naked touring bikes. Haven't had a bike for a few years because I've been busy with work, etc. So I decided that I fancied getting out and about and getting some touring miles and just join riding again. I don't want to be in a kind of sports bike position. I don't want to be in a naked bike with lack of protection. So the adventure bike there seemed to fit all my needs. So I've got a relative who's got a GS 1250 and he's had the 1200 before that, and yeah, he just swears by them, you know. He said all the sports bikes as well, hyper sports a lot, and he absolutely loves his GS 1250. So yeah, I was in the market for a GS 1250 to start with, and it just sort of coincided roughly around about October last year at the launch of the 1300. Because actually in my mind was actually potentially buying my relative's machine off him, because he was contemplating buying the new 1300. He hasn't got around to one yet because he's working abroad, and he's not 100% sure whether he might not go for the K1600 either, so he's going to go and try that first before he makes up his mind. So when I went into the dealerships just to start having a look at the 1250, lo and behold, actually the day that I went into Edinburgh Motorrad's dealership, the 1300s had just arrived the night before, and they had just unboxed them. What a coincidence that was. So I was so lucky to be able to actually see the brand new bike in the showroom the very first day that I went to go and have a look at the GS's. So I have to say, when I went into that showroom, there was a few people round about the new bike. It was obviously, it just arrived, it was exciting news. I had watched the pre-launch actually on it beforehand, but I wasn't aware that the delivery to the shops was imminent as it was, so I was predominantly going in to have a chat about a 1250 Adventure or GS. My preference was, before I actually made up my mind anyway, was to go GS route. I'm not a huge fan of the big bulky Adventure look. I think all the steelwork in that's obviously on that for a, you know, for a reason, and the large tanks there again for a specific reason, for the longer range options on it, which I had no intention of really using, you know. So anyway, just coming out of Strathguinness, if you look ahead there, you'll actually see Leuchars Air Base there. That used to be an RAF air base. It's now run by the army, the military. And across there, St Andrews on your right hand, my right hand side, and the sea coming off of the West Sands beach there. You've got a little villages scattered all around here. The village across there on the left hand side, I believe that's Balmullo. Excellent motocross track situated at Balmullo. Been there for many years. Used to be used by some of the sand track. It used to be used with some of the big names back in the day. Yeah, some of the big names used to come up for down south to train up there in the winter months. You can actually just see it in the shape of the hill. If you look just across the buildings there, you could just see the shape of the track in about the gorse bushes. Beautiful area, this. Fantastic area, littered with farmland and obviously golf courses galore along in St Andrews. Fife is blessed with golf courses. I mean, if you like playing golf, you've got to come to Fife. So these roads are pretty quiet. It's pretty typical for these back roads. So one of the first things I noticed when I test rode the GS was just the ease of what it was like to ride. You know, it was just effortless. Even just if I just pulled out of the actual dealership on it onto the main road, and the bike just weaves about as you want to move it with your body or your arms or whatever you want to steer it with. It's just so effortless to move about. The centre of gravity, that must low down, but it must be absolutely spot on. And it was just mind-blowingly easy to ride. I'd actually ridden the bike on the road for maybe upwards of about possibly 4 years since I had actually been on a physical road bike out on the roads, and it was just like, you know, picking up where you left off. And the fact that the bike was just so user friendly, I mean, it was just this absolute, you know, very pleasant experience. So I was out on the white model, very basic first entry level model, I believe. It had various the various spec on it that you typically get with the GS's, although it didn't have the adaptive suspension, and I don't believe it had the radar system on it either. This particular bike is a triple black. I didn't spec it with either of these options. Don't feel it was necessary for me. I don't need the adaptive suspension. I'm 6'2". I've went for the high seat option, and it's absolutely spot on for me. The cruise control radar, whatever you want to call that thing, you know, the adaptive cruise control, I think it is, yeah. Didn't fancy that function at all. I think that'll be a great function for people who do a lot of motorway miles. I think people running around about the towns and villages and stuff like that, can't see you're ever going to get much use out of that, really. I've got a feature, many of these features in my car, and to be honest with you, I sometimes find them quite annoying. You know, lane control and stuff like that. It jumps in when you're not expecting it, sometimes catches you out, you know, the car steers itself a bit. I just didn't fancy that on the bike, so anyway, I didn't spec that. What did I spec on this bike? Well, I'll tell you what actually intentions were as well. I mean, I was a cash buyer, no trade-in, and one of my first intentions was to just try and keep the bike below 20,000, and that was actually based on a recommendation by one of the salesmen in the dealership to start talking about insurance, because again, I hadn't had insurance for a few years. My no claims bonus had elapsed, or at least I thought it had lapsed, but unfortunately it actually hadn't. I was very lucky to go through BMW Motorrad's insurer, and they actually accepted my previous no claims up to 5 years. So I had just over 4 years since my last no claims, and I had a clean bill of health on that with 9 years plus, you know, the full no claims. So that brought me back in just to where people have probably been, that have been riding constantly. So I was very lucky there. So I got a cracking deal on the insurance through them, basing the bike on just under, I think about £20 actually, under £20,000. The only stipulation they wanted was a tracker fitted, so we got a tracker fitted. So I paid for a few of the extras outside of that. So the real value of this bike topped about, I think it topped over 21.5 or something like that, and I just paid for the other bits and pieces myself. So we went with the I got the top box adaptive plate on there. That was again a recommendation that if you're going to run the BMW cases, then you're going to have it. There's, while I'm blithering away there's the old Leuchars RAF base in there. They still do land aeroplanes and helicopters and that in there. It's just not managed anymore by the Air Force. It's managed now by the Army. So I think I'm not sure what Army is actually based there. Maybe tells us here. Welcome to Leuchars, home of the British Army. Used to have a cracking. They've still got the old Tornado there. They've now got a tank up there, and you can see a lot of sentries about, a lot of security around about the base, which you would expect, and a lot of the housing round about here is all the military personnel that live in them. You see inside there's gated quarters here, but there is many other houses outside of here, which I think a lot of them are housed in as well. But we do miss the old air base, because they used to have the air show. Leuchars air show used to be there every year, and that was fabulous if you like that type of thing. It was a really cracking couple of days. So unfortunately that's no longer on because of the change from, I think I won't follow them. It's just going to be too slow for me in a single track road. Just pop through here, and then we'll be able to pick up the road to St Mike's up to Tayport. I noticed here the hell of a lot of 20 miles an hour these days. Everything's changing, eh? It's changing. There's somebody else out on their bike there. Picking up some medicine. There is some nitro. Yeah, well, the app is working fine in a way, because the app, as you can see in the little square box there, it's picking up the speed and displaying the speed limit. 20 miles, well, back up to 30 again. Yeah, just coming through the tail end of Leuchars here. So I better get on and maybe start talking a little bit more about, well, to go back to what I was talking about earlier there, actually, about the insurance and the spec in the bike below £20,000. Whether that works or not, I don't know, but it did, as far as I'm concerned, I got a good deal, and you know, I'm in my late 50s, and as I say, I got a good deal on the insurance, so I'm not complaining about that at all. And as I said, spec the bike just below that, but I paid for some other bits and pieces. Now, what else did I put on the bike? So I put the adaptive plate rack that you need for the BMW suspension luggage. I put the fog lights on. You know, what's a GS if it's not got the fog lights? It needs the fog lights, I believe. It's part and parcel of the look. I put the heated seats on, the pillion heated seats on. Again, if you're carrying a pillion, and I've already had my wife out on the bike, they've got to get as much comfort out of and enjoyment out of the bike as you have. So that was a must-have. I went with the black spoked wheels. I think they look fab. I'm not a fan of the gold rims. I mean, each to their own. So the holders came on because they were on a slight downhill. Doesn't do that on the flat. It does it either on an incline or a decline. So the brake holders came on. What I've noticed with that is you have to give it a little bit more oomph to break away from that, whether you're going up the way or down the way. So if you're quite gentle and easy on the clutch and throttle normally, when you've got this on, you do need to give it a little bit more just to release and go, or you can stall the bike quite easily, which I found out by stalling the bike. So yeah, that's what spec'd up with the black wheels, spoked wheels, look lovely. Went for the triple black, automatically loved it when I seen it. The trophy, lovely colours. I guess a lot of people are drawn to that because it is such a bright, nice looking bike. The white bike just looks quite basic-y. I think, again, that criticism is not duly aimed at the white bike because it's at the lower end of the range. I mean, these bikes are ultimately all the same, bar different tank plastic surrounds and front mudguards, and the other subtle difference on the white one, I think, and on the trophy is they've got a bit of white. The subframe at the back's white, I think, whereas this bike and the Tramontana, whatever it's called, the Triantula, the green Mini, I think it's the same as this one. I think it's got the black and this has got the black. So I mean, if you wanted to change your bike to look like any of their bikes, extremely easy to do. You're just talking about changing a few sets of plastics, and you could go and change your bike to make it look like a trophy or make it look like the green Mini. The green Mini obviously has gold bars on it. Again, probably difficult to find a set of gold bars, and the green Mini's got some of the billet parts on it, but these are available aftermarket if you want them anyway. I have no idea why people really want to change that, just for the sake of customization. Then it's each to their own. If you've got the sort of money that you like spending on stuff like that and it makes you feel good, and yep, it want to make you go on it faster, that's for sure. But yeah, lots of options. So that's roughly about what I had on the bike. At the top of my head, I didn't go for the sports suspension, I didn't go for the adaptive cruise control, and I didn't go for the enduro pack. So my indicators are here. where they should be. Not got much intention of riding this off-road, although I've got a career in off-road riding, but I've got off-road bikes if I want to do that. So I'll maybe get it up a forest trail now and again or something, but not really with the road-based tyres, and the road-based tyres will stay on it until such times as they need to be changed. So this has got the Metzler's 2 I think they're called. Haven't been able to test them out yet, and the roads are just not clean enough to be scratching about yet. There's still too much dirt on the roads. There's a hell of a lot of damp, especially up these back roads. There's a hell of a lot of muck from the farmers at the moment, and you can see the sides of the roads where cars continually, or large vehicles, are having to take up the full lane, and then they encroach onto the verge here and pull all the muck off the verge. That combined with the farmers just means that the roads are filthy. I mean, all we need a good wet 2 days to get it all diluted away, and then some nice windy, drying hot stuff like we've got just now. That'll get it lifted up, and we can get going. Plus, again, we've had a hell of a lot of salt on the road, so I've avoided having been in any runs with the salt. I don't want to be cleaning it every 5 minutes. I certainly don't want to put it away when it's been caked with salt off the roads. I encourage any unnecessary corrosion. Intentions are, I like to look after things, so that's my intention there. I ceramic coated the bike myself and saved myself a fortune. The dealer was wanting the best part of $450 for the bike, $500 if you want to get your helmet done as well. I probably did it all in myself for £90 all in, I think. I used the Wax is Dead product, and it's about £60 for the coating and about £20 for the cleaner and some microfiber cloths, etc. So I've been so far so good. Really pleased with the outcome of the ceramic coating. I've only washed the bike once or twice, and you can really see the benefit of the water beading and running off the bike, off the surfaces. Never actually used ceramic coating before, so something new to me. Mainly just always used polishes in the past, and I've never really went into the, I don't know what they call it, APC50 or something that's protecting your bikes, because I've running motocross bikes for so long. They come back in a hell of a muddy state when you're out and about in a track, so you give them a good pressure wash and a wash down, and then typically just a bit of a WD-40 once they've dried off. But we're running the gauntlet today actually. I feel that this car's pulling it everywhere. I'm now in Tayport. I'm now in the little I don't know whether Tayport's a town or I think it's probably still a village, because it might be a town. I would think it's a town. In the town of Tayport, which is just across the Firth, the Firth of Tay, which is just on my right hand shoulder up here. Once we get through this bit of the town here. Yeah, we've got the Firth of Tay there, which bridges between Fife here on this side and across into Tayside on the other side, where the city of Dundee is situated just across the Taybridge. Should be able to see that, I think, when we get up here. You'll see the water on my right hand side. Yeah, lovely little part of the Fife around about here. Blessed again with lots of lovely little roads that you can scoot about on and play about to your heart's content. Just waiting on the better weather breaking really. Once the weather starts to settle down a wee bit. It's 9 degrees today, so temperature's no an issue. It's just the wind and the rain and the dryness. Hopefully the frost is behind us. That would be great. Yeah, so you should see the water on my right hand side. You should see Dundee, and you'll see up the stacked up stacks of actually wind turbine towers waiting to go offshore to be installed, and also some the jack-up rigs that are drilling rigs there sitting waiting on work. Whether or not they're ever going to get any more needs to be seen. A little sneaky roundabout there. '30s, '40s, '60s. You never know what speed you're supposed to do these days. I mean, if you're constantly watching your speed, you never get anywhere. So we're back in a 40 again, and then we're going to a 60, which has been in a 30, and it was a 20. Now look at that, it's absolutely beautiful. There's the Taybridge there on the right hand side. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 jack-up rigs sitting there. And a whole stack of wind turbine structures. There's a little cafe up here just before you go over the bridge. I want to stop there, see if I can grab a cup of coffee, and hopefully my video blogging's working today, because I've been out numerous times with it and I've just never quite nailed it, whether it be the actual picture that you're seeing or whether the voice recording's not working. It's a bit of a hit or a miss really. I'm not pretending on sort of doing this for you know, for a living. I just wanted to do it for a bit of fun and just share some of my experiences with fellow like-minded bikers that are out there. There's enough vloggers out there. They keep us all occupied during the winter months. I have to say there's some good bloggers out there, but there's some crap out there as well, honestly. I always say the same about this, but my goodness, there is some waffle on that internet. Cash only, eh? My goodness, what are people that are going cash only these days? What's that all about, eh? Well, here we are, Taybridge. Dundee across there. Okay. Okay, so hopefully we're recording again. Just stopped at the cafe on the Fife side of the Taybridge to pick up a quick cheeseburger and a cup of tea, which I have to say for £5.50 was quite nice. Let's get organised and scoot along the side of the Tay and then scoot back down the road. Another hour's riding under our belt, perfect way to break the bike in. There you have Dundee across there. So as I was mentioning earlier, actually I was talking about the high seat. So I've got the high seat on this, 6'2", so I'll push the bike back here, both feet flat on the ground, no problem at all. What I would say though is I think the limitations of the height seat are probably something up in the, only around about 6 feet. I don't think if you're, I think if you're less than 6 feet, then you should probably, you wouldn't consider the high seat. So I think the high seat, from my opinion of what my experience is at the high seat at the moment, I think probably 6 foot tall and above is what you might want to be considering the taller seat. I think anybody who's smaller than 6 feet, you would probably be absolutely fine with the standard seat. So, another little chat as we're coming through this next little village here, about the Quickshifter. So the Quickshifter is a topic of massive discussion across the internet. I can't compare it actually with the previous bike because I haven't ridden any of the other GS's, so I can only go by what I'm experiencing with the test bike and with this with my own bike here. So the experiences I've got are completely, you know, unique to this specific bike as far as a Quickshifter goes. So I've read a lot about people saying how clunky they are, and I've watched the videos, and you can see, you know, even from the videos you can see how quite notchy and clunky they appear to be. So I conclude much the same. I think you know, from a sort of first and second gear perspective, very clunky indeed. I think for second into third, if you're on load on the throttle, then it seems to work better. But when you move up into third and fourth and that in the higher gears, it works absolutely fine. It works really, really smoothly. I think there's another video out there with somebody out there who's thrashing the bike about and crashing it up and down the gearbox and saying this is how the bike should be ridden, you know, in anger sort of thing, to get the best out of it. I think there's an element of truth in that. Yeah, it does need to be used properly and to basically be sort of under load to get the best out of it, I think, in the lower gears or even in the higher gears. So there is a bit of there is definitely a bit of technique involved in it. You got to keep some load on the throttle while you're shifting up. But I think again, as the bike's what I've seen here is it seems to get better. The more riding, the more miles under my belt on the bike, it does seem to be getting better. I think it's going to loosen off and absolutely fine. From my point of view, you know, the first and second gear, etc., and that, you know, my preference is to use the clutch anyway. I'm from a, you know, riding motorcycles. This is what it's all about, the engagement between you and the machine, and how you operate it, and have no qualms at all about operating it with the clutch, you know, through the lower gears. I think, to be honest with you, it gives you a lot more control anyway when you're in these slow speed situations, in and out of car parks and through these towns. If you're using your clutch and that as well, you have a lot more control than just, you know, solely relying on it being a semi-automatic, if you like. But yeah, so initial thoughts is that I kind of conclude and agree about what people are saying. There's definitely a little bit of clunkiness to it down in the lower gears, but I think higher up, I think it works absolutely fine. I think the Auto-blipper is fab. I think it works terrifically on the way down. It's great fun actually. You can use it, I think, in various different ways. You know, you can just shut the throttle off and change down, and it does that, but you can also give it a little bit of MotoGP sort of blip with the throttle and drop it down at the same time, and it gives a little bit more feedback too. Yes, look at that, there's an old Cortina there. Oh, lovely. Oh, smell it, smell the old petrol. So just heading along, run along here, this road here through the village here of, I think I'm in Galdry if I mind right, or Wormit, I'm not sure, Galdry or Wormit. And then I head along there's a road that runs along adjacent to the Tay on this side of Fife. It takes you to another town called Newburgh, which is at the far end of the Tay before you head up to Perth. Lovely little twisty road. I haven't been on that road actually for quite a number of years. Last time I was actually on it, cycled it. Actually don't know if I run the postie down. I'm going to be very popular with the locals if I've run the postie down and they're sitting waiting on their afternoon post coming. Yeah, last time I was along here, I think I cycled it. You can see there, National Route 777 for the cycling. Another part of my hobbies, and one of my hobbies is cycling. We're in Wormit. There's Wormit Primary School there. So yeah, wasn't sure if this is Wormit or Galdry. Both very close together. So this is Wormit we're in. W-O-R-M-I-T, Wormit. Oh, somebody giving their camper a bit of a clean on a ladder there. Health and safety guys will be out there now, no harness on. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, the Auto-blipper, great fun. The Quickshifter, yeah, great, does what it says in the tin. Overall, you know, experience of riding the bike, just absolutely fabulous. It's a great bike. I'm sure the 1250s are absolutely fantastic, the 1200s as well. The new GS is moving it to the next level again. They'll take people time to come across to that, and I'm sure when they do, they'll get out there, they'll enjoy it just as much as all the new owners are at the moment. The engine's superb. I'm running it predominantly in road mode, and really don't see really any need to be in the dynamic or that at this time of the year or where we are. The conditions aren't fantastic. Dynamic does release that extra brake horsepower, does stiffen the bike up a bit, but the road mode is spot on. I mean, it's absolutely spot on. The suspension's absolutely fab. What I would say though, I've had the wife on the back. I've only been out once, 2 up with the wife on the back. There's 2 things to note on that. One of them was that the Quickshifter, again quite clunky, as we've already spoke about, doing in first and second. So if you want your experience for your passenger to be just equally as good as you are, you know, use a bit of clutch, feather the clutch, etc. Keep it nice and smooth for them. So yeah, it was a bit more evident because you were hauling that extra weight that it was a bit more clunky than what it had been on my own. And the other thing was the suspension on road mode. It was just a little touch soft, 2 up, just a little touch soft. So again, just need to stiffen it up a little bit for that. Either going up into dynamic or dynamic pro mode would solve that, or you can go into the settings and change it yourself. So I think with that in mind as well, if you're hauling a bit of luggage and then you're going to go 2 up as well, then you probably want to stiffen that suspension up a little bit. But again, that's for everybody to trial and error and see what suits you or what your feedback is. That's just my initial feedback. It just felt a little bit soft, a little bit spongy and bouncy would be more to try and describe it when it was 2 up. But not a problem. Just again, you're trying to feel for, you know, the feedback from the bike, and that was just one of the things that comes to mind, you know. I did think when I took the test bike out, there was one thing that really stuck in my mind about the test bike, and that was the throttle. The throttle was very much on off, you know, because it's presumably fly-by-wire, I would imagine. And when you shut the throttle off, it was either on or it was off. Now, I think similarly it's like that on this bike as well, but I think when you get used to riding it, it's not an issue. It's just a little thing that it's probably the same with all the kind of fly-by-wire bikes that are out there. I'll tell you, it's windy today. But you kind of notice it with the Auto-blipper as well, because you sort of shut the throttle off and then there's no pull on the bike, and then there's another little bit that you can just close the throttle fully and you can actually feel that the engine braking then kicking in. So the throttle seems to have a few sensor positions for what I can gather on it. You know, you shut it off and the bike's not pulling anymore, so that would signify typically that there's no any more fueling going into the bike. The bike's starting to freewheel. But then if you're in this position there, and then if you close it completely, the engine braking kicks in. So I'm not sure what kind of management electronics are controlling that, but I felt that felt just a little bit jerky for me when I was out on the trial bike, on the demo bike. When I'm on my own bike now, I don't think it's not relative anymore. But I think to maybe people who are not au fait with that, or not used to that, then again you're probably picking up maybe similar to what I did as well. Not sure, not really sure about that one, but it's not an issue for me anymore. But it was something that I did, and I brought it up with the dealer. I did say to them, because I actually thought, you know, from the dealer's perspective, that perhaps there was the mess of the roads here, slipping the clutch off of there. So yeah, I just thought it was maybe something a little bit that wasn't quite set up properly on that demo bike, but I don't think it's just the way the throttles are, it's just the way the engine management system must be working. So again, on these country roads, quite narrow, still a little bit dirty from a lot of the farm activity that's going on around about here, the recent weather, so just got to take care. What else can I waffle on about the bike? I mean, power wise, so yeah, you want to get into the power situation with this thing. I mean, it goes like a rocket ship. I mean, any gear you want, it's just got bags and bags of power all over it, you know, low down torque, the top end speed, you name it. I mean, this bike is basically just it's a sports bike in an adventure, in an adventure's clothes, you know. But that doesn't mean to say that that's a bad thing. It just means to say it's there if you want it, you know. It's available on tap, you know, as and when if you want to use that power, or if you want to pull in with the two up touring or all the luggage, etc. It's like a tractor trailer. It's there if you want it, but it's got absolutely bags of power. I've had a play in it with the dynamic mode, air wheeling dynamic mode, just ever so slightly. It's obviously dynamic pro if you want to get everything switched off and get the front wheel up in the air. In the normal road mode, doesn't really lift, it just sort of, you know, it feels you can feel it coming up a little bit, but it's just the suspension going to its full travel extent. Doesn't really wheelie in road mode. Yeah, speed wise, gosh, I mean, this will keep up with anything. Absolutely anything. You put the right rider on this bike, there's a beautiful Tay across there. Oh, absolutely gorgeous. I hope I'm on the right road here to pick up this road along to there. So be careful that I bump into any tractors around here. I'll get my new front fender extender tested out today again with the mud. So I've fitted I'll get moving on a little bit here. I fitted a pyramid front fender extender because very evident that these bikes don't half throw up the mud fling from the front wheel and the back wheel, etc. It gets everywhere. It gets right up in amongst the shock underneath the yokes. So I think as long as you're keeping on top of your cleaning and watching what you're doing with it, you should be fine. But these kind of areas on the bikes, underneath these areas in the front headlight and the yokes, etc., where they've got a lot of wiring and, you know, as the tail end of your electronics and that are sitting, you know, you don't really want to be spraying too much water and that up and around these parts unless you're getting it dried out. The handling of this thing is just awesome, absolutely awesome. I mean, it's hard to describe it. I mean, it's just effortless to ride. 9 miles to Newburgh. Here we go. So I won't be going all the way to Newburgh, but go a little bit. You know, I used to actually, I never remember that, we built the thingy in there. Built a golf, the same house? Yeah, that's the same house. I actually worked in there, God, 25, 30 years ago. I worked in there with my mate's father had a landscaping business, and we used to maintain that house's garden. I remember we built him a putting green in there. They've been up this way for absolute donkey's ages. Yeah, so yeah, no, the handling of this bike is just absolutely awesome. I mean, amazing. I think, you know, any novices could just jump on this bike and have absolutely effortless fun riding it. They have to be respectful of the power though. I mean, this is a very powerful bike. I mean, when people are talking about, you know, the insurance companies, etc., and what the issues that they're having. I mean, some of them are obviously related to the price and to the new product, but you know, you have to make no bones about it. This is a powerful bike. You know, it's a 1300cc bike, so it's not really for where you're messing about at the top end of this bike. It's not for the novices at that point in time. You know, it's for experienced riders. If you want to explore the full potential of it. And I mean, if you think about it CCs wise, what, a Hayabusa's a 1300cc bike. I mean, and it's an absolute hyper sport. It was at one time the fastest production road bike, now dwarfed by all these 200 plus brake horsepower sports bikes. But no, this is right up there. I mean, this is right up there with, I mean, this is quicker than the old R1 Fireblades back in the day. So this will give a sports bike an absolute run for the money. And in terms of handling and cornering, etc., that it'll take a good rider to get away from a good GS rider as well. Again, only my opinion. I want the mess of this here. So you know, don't take my word for it. It's just what I think. I mean, I don't know, I've got, how many years have I got riding motorcycles now? My God, too many to talk about. 40, at least 40 anyway. Started messing about in bikes when I was 9-10 years old. Yeah, so a long time. Another interesting thing though when you're riding these bikes is you can just ride them on the throttle, you know, with the gearbox. You don't even need the brakes. You keep it in the right gear, and you roll on, roll off. Engine braking, jumping in now. You don't even really need the brakes. You don't really need the brakes if you actually want to hammer on and start braking, late braking into corners if you're pushing on. If you're just out for a ride along and having fun, you know, you can just roll on, roll off. Yeah, look at that, absolutely beautiful. Look at the Firth of Tay there, all the way back to the Taybridge. Absolutely gorgeous. This might be worth stopping here actually for let's just jump on the brakes. Emergency stop. Look at that. Absolutely fantastic. Woo. Gorgeous. I think that could be the picture of the day. Awesome, absolutely awesome. This really is a lovely little piece of road. There's a lot of blind crests on it and blind corners on it, so you've got to be careful and be respectful. It's not just one for just coming up and you know, just blasting along it. You've really got to just watch what you're doing on here. Be respectful for the roads. But yeah, what a brilliant bike this is to ride. I mean, for you guys that have owned the 1200s or the 1250s or even, you know, the very early models, mind you, when you look at the very early model, you know, that was really in the sort of Party Dakar era type bike. That was, you know, just like a big engined enduro bike. Which, I mean, we've seen some of these big bikes coming through, you know, in the sort of around about the sort of the late 90s and that. You know, Husky used to do some big motocross bikes, you know, 610. Even KTM, when they first appeared on the sort of serious new modern age motocrossers, were coming out with big 500s, 510s I think, which they carried over a lot into their supermoto, hypermoto type bikes as well. But these bikes were just really heavy, lots of power, but really heavy. And I mean, in a motocross enduro world, you know, you're looking for a bike that's light and nimble, you know, the lighter the better, nice fast engine, but lighter the better, so you can throw it about, doesn't tire you out, you can manhandle it across the obstacles and the jumps, etc. So to take a big heavy bike into that world, you know, it's not sort of ideal. I mean, I think the idea that the Paris-Dakar bikes, with these big heavy bikes back in the day, was that they had to be workhorses to carry a lot of fuel, to carry a lot of equipment and spares, you know, backup, and they obviously had to have an engine that wasn't getting over revved, you know, so it wasn't you know, the engine was the toiling at all, the engine had, what is it, labour, you know, so it was able to protect it for, you know, in order to get the endurance part out of it. Whereas that wasn't really the case with the motocross bikes or the enduro bikes, you know, short circuiting them, you didn't need that, you know, you didn't need the that type of endurance out of the engine. But so anyway, was it the expense of probably, you know, the weight, and I think that's the issue with these bikes now. I mean, people talk about, you know, I've seen lots of videos out there of people having great fun on the GS, particularly on the trophy model, you know, off-roading it. But you know, well, that's good fun, and you know, for that, but it won't be the same fun as if you're on a fully purposed enduro bike, unless you're out there in the deserts, unless you're out there tearing up, you know, the wasteland in the middle of nowhere. If you're just on a track type, you know, playing on an old Bing, or you know, playing on a bit of wasteland, you know, you got to have fun on the bike, for sure, absolutely. You'll have fun on anything you ride, but you're not going to have the same fun experience as what you would have on a purpose-built enduro bike. And these aren't the purpose-built, these are adventure bikes. So these are kind of ticking all the boxes. So yeah, I'm a little bit sort of, I don't know what I sort of think too much about the off-road part of the, you know, the culture surrounding these bikes, because I'm honest with you, my own opinion is, I just think it's, I don't think that, you know, they're capable of doing everything that they want to do them, but they're not really ultimately designed for that. Most of these are just like your Chelsea tractors, you know, your big Range Rover 4x4s will never see the off-road world, you know. They will only ever see the school run. And a lot of these BMs that say they're exactly the same, you know, ideas of grandeur, yeah, you're going to go on big tours with them, fantastic, that's what they're there for. But there's not many people really going to off-road these bikes, proper off-road them. Yeah, take it off-road. I mean, there's a set of woods there, I can take it in there just now and go up the trail there. That's not really off-road, innit? That's just a bit of trailing. But it's nice, I suppose, if that's giving you that option. You know, you've got that option that you can dual sport it. But you said you need to change the tyres on it. I mean, and the limitations of the off-road tyres on the road scenario is a compromise both ways. So, you know, if you want to fully off-road it, you know, off-road it. If you want to ride it on the road, ride it on the road. I don't know what people's thoughts are on that, but anyway, this is just my opinions, absolutely just my opinion. Big issue with riding the road now is that the sun's so low at this time of year, so it starts to get a bit dazzling. Absolutely stunning. I need to come back this way and ride it the other way. Starting getting laned over. So I was waffling on there about on-road, off-road, but in fact I know I was waffling on about Tayport 1, so I haven't heard any feedback from him and his ownership so far of his bike, whether he's gone having any issues with it or not. Here's the turning that I'm looking for coming up here. But yeah, he's one of the first guys I think to have owned one of these, so he doesn't have to put the miles on them. So if anybody's going to be testing the bike out to its full of, you know, endurance capabilities, big Brucey boy, I think his name is, he's probably the guy for the job. I won't be putting that kind of miles on it. Just didn't have the time, you know, too many other hobbies to be getting on with without getting the bike every other day, but that's pretty much his job, I think. As I was talking about earlier on there, you know, when you shut the throttle fully, you know, the engine braking really kicks in on it. If you just roll it back to no power, it kind of glides, but if you shut it off, it is kind of jerky. I think we're just coming into the town of Newburgh. Should take you out at a petrol station, if I remember rightly, on the left hand side eventually. Here we are, Newburgh. It's a borough, the borough of Newburgh. Keep everything there. Brewery. So many of these microbreweries popping up these days. What's this one in here? It's a distillery. Abbey Distillery. Got the Buttercup Cafe here. You come back and try that one day. The Buttercup Cafe. Not sure, 100% sure where that is. Volkswagen Beetle there. A bit of flooding here. Lindores Abbey Distillery. Well, I wonder what they make. I'm going to second guess it'll be gin. Burnside and Craigmill. Head down towards Lindores here along the loch, the side of Loch Lindores. Again, some absolutely fabulous back roads here to play about on. Gorgeous. miles an hour it's saying. Oh, excuse me, there's the Nationals! Nationals! Mr. Tayport! It's right, interestingly, Mr. Tayport 1 has got one of these. I think he's probably one of the first guys in the UK to actually get one. He traded in his 1250 GS that he'd put about 50,000 miles on apparently. I haven't seen any discussions or any talk of with him on there with regards to his bike. If he's having any issues with it or not. Pretty quiet. He's probably busy doing all his... Oh, I've just taken the wrong turn in. Oh, sugar me daddy. Right, need to do a quick turn around and see how good the GS is at turning around on the muck. Yep. No bother. Yep, it's another left turn, another right turn along here. Not that first one. That one takes you into quite a twisty... No. School run's coming up now as well. It's 3 o'clock Oh, that girl's got her skirt caught in the side of the door. Not the best look. Oh, old Rolls Royce sitting in the garden there, red. Looks lovely. Woohoo! Come back for a look at that. Do love a red car. There's a bit of crap on the tyres. You feel it. Get that off before we